Are we good? We're on? Awesome. Oh, I can hear it when you turn on your mic.
Well, that intro went much longer than I remembered it going for. I think that was an appropriate song choice for tonight's topic. Hello and welcome to another Pichy and Palscast with Pichy, funny enough. Tonight, just one guest. It is show regular at this point, New South Wales anime TO Firerider.
Yo, yo.
How are you on this fine Tuesday evening? It's bucketing down with rain here.
Well, I woke up in the morning, it was like
That's
about to pour. Yeah, waking up in the morning is always a good start, but I prefer not to. Gotta wake up in the afternoon because that gives me a better sleep. But yeah, I was preparing for a rain. Yeah, has a light shower in the morning, and then it becomes like 20, 25 degrees hot later in the afternoon. That was really terrible.
Yeah, it's disgusting when you get pleasant weather when you're expecting terrible. It's been bucketing down here most of the day, which is good. Water tanks are only still half full. But we're not here to talk about making it rain. That's whenever I do a Marvel vs. Capcom stream, obviously. Actually, I played a hilarious game. Speaking of Marvel, I was playing card game Marvel vs. Capcom recently, which is Dominion. And I had a game where I think I had like 8 cities. Very amusing game.
Yeah, Dominion is... It really is a fantastic game.
Oh yeah, it's Marvel.
Yeah, I can't say anything else other than it is what you get when you stick an anime game, a board game to Marvel.
Yeah. And the reason that I say it's Marvel is because a lot of the fun, and I'll put over Marvel vs. Capcom, there's a lot of fun base mechanics, but a lot of what gives the game life is exploring the meta, since you have to pick several characters and develop synergy. It's all about basically finding different exploits, and then you got to find other exploits in order to beat those first exploits. Which is why the game kind of wound up being this, Marvel 3 at least, wound up in this triangle where there were the Morrigan teams, there were the Rush That Sucker Down teams, and the anti-Morrigan teams. And the triangle wound up being that the Morrigan teams beat the Rush That Sucker Down teams, which was like the Zero and Wolverine point teams. Then the anti-Morrigan teams would beat Morrigan, and that's, wacky Ryan LV, Chun on point, doing lots of DPs in order to reset air action stuff. And then they would usually get bulbed horribly by the Rush That Sucker Down teams. And Dominion's a game where it's like the character select screen changes every time you play a set of the game. And so you got to look at what characters you've been given and say, okay, what's the dumbest thing that I can just keep abusing until it stops working in this set? And usually it'll keep working, if you found the dumbest thing, until you win. Let's see. Good way to start. Let's talk about something serious, though. In the time since these shows started, or in between the last 2 shows, the Super Smash Bros. Melee ruling party committee, rules deciding people, decided to ban hitbox-type input devices.
Wait, they've actually gone ahead and banned it?
Well, they announced the ban. I haven't paid attention in the last week to see if it's changed, but as of a week ago, that's what I saw. And that really concerns me because Super Smash Bros. Is a game that is absolute murder on your hands. And although, even in top-level athletic sports, injuries are inevitable, you want to do as much as you can to minimize, and that's why all the pros have decent healthcare and coaches and training teams which are about making sure people are healthy. It's why, in pro wrestling recently, the New Japan G1 Climax had its finals on this weekend. They were freaking amazing. But there's a lot of stuff which happens in those matches where you think, some of this doesn't need to happen because the wear and tear that these guys are doing to their necks in particular, and backs, and as someone who has spent 11 years with a horribly messed up back, I know how much it sucks, and I don't want to see people willingly throwing away that sort of health. It's all the more poignant because Katsuyori Shibata popped up out of nowhere in the finals to say, "Hi, I'm alive." And the reason that he is saying, "Hi, I'm alive," is because earlier in the year he did a very real, very, very serious headbutt on an opponent and gave himself permanent brain damage from it. So, don't do that. And so back to the SMASHBOXX, I feel that very much Melee is a game where the top players have been the top players for a long time. There's a very large amount of motor skill that you need to build up, as well as your situational knowledge, your matchup knowledge. All of that stuff needs to come in with very, very serious motor skill, and it's really hard for people to get up to that tippity top level where, you know, Mango, Armada, Leffen, etc. are. And anything that Melee can do to make people actually capable of reaching that level and not kill their hands and being healthy, that's something you should be encouraging as much as possible.
I kind of feel like it's also a moot point because isn't there something with the GameCube controllers how, like, due to a manufacturing defect, it's actually easier to play Melee with broken GameCube controllers?
Yes, it is. I mean, there's so many wacky things like that. Like, there's some alterations to frame data based on which controller port you plug the controller into.
Isn't... How would that make a balanced game?
And I think same frame throws are handled by lower controller port as well. So it's like in Math Mirrors in particular, people actually do rock, paper, scissors on which controller port they get. I mean,
you've got to be kidding me.
Smash Brothers Melee is an amazing game at a top level, but man, there is some incredibly weird esoteric stuff in that game. And that's what happens when, like, a game that was made in 2002, very early into a new console's life, was made by people who weren't quite intending a lot of this stuff to come out. I mean, it happens sometimes. You can't test for situations that obscure. I mean, one day, when someone rags on something for quality assessment at some time, I will do a big rant about the logistics of actually testing stuff in fighting games, but there is stuff that's so esoteric to even try doing in the first place that there's no way it was not going to slip through. I mean, who is going to test in Smash Brothers Melee? Who is going to test the situation of, what if I push throw with Samus, then mash up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down on the D-pad, which is only used for taunting, and only the up on the D-pad, but you mash up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down on the D-pad, and then push A, and then Samus's throw has triple the range and also homes.
I don't even know how you would even mistakenly code that.
It'll just be a quirk of how various rules and functions behave.
Is this another case of Miyamoto just... was it Miyamoto that worked on Smash Bros? Or was it Sakurai?
Masahiro Sakurai is the lead designer.
Oh yeah, Miyamoto was the one who did the Pokemon and had to cram it down to like 500 kilobytes.
That's Satoru Iwata.
Ah, alright.
Mr. Kirby, Mr. CEO of Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't know my Nintendo execs. I've never been a Nintendo fan.
So Shiggy made Mario 1 and Zelda 1, and then coasted on his success and threw out everyone else's projects for years and years and years. Here's the simple summary of Shigeru Miyamoto. No, Masahiro Sakurai was a Kirby guy. He was from HAL Laboratory, as was Iwata. Sakurai's Kirby games are ones like Superstar, Kirby's Fun Pack, the faster-paced Kirby games. Probably the more bizarre thing is, if you've ever played any of the games since Sakurai became a lead designer, they all have a very similar menu system and UI rules, and the UI is actually designed by his wife. She just went, hey, I think this would be a fairly efficient way of doing stuff, so cool family collaboration there. And I can use Smash Brothers, so yeah, I am very much in favor with Smash Brothers of anything that supports hand health is something you should be doing, and you shouldn't be getting people out because you think that a broken GameCube controller is the only way you should be playing a game. And
but at the same time, like, I hear stories of people winning Melee matches purely just because they've never actually played a real match or something, or barely played a real match, and only grinded the tech in, like, whatever training mode they have for almost 2 years straight.
Did you hear I can't remember if I said it on the stream last week. So Giggles was in Melbourne recently, and shoutouts to Forte if you're in the chat listening. I should probably mention in the Discord that we're up. And Giggles was in Melbourne and played some Melee with Forte, and he beat Forte just doing guard cancel up B with Bowser. I mean, if you know anything like that, that is the only legit cool thing Bowser has. It's basically a guard cancel DP. It's like Alpha 2 Ken's Alpha Counter levels of stupid.
Oh, but isn't Bowser like one of the worst characters in the game as well? On top of that,
he's terrible. But he at least has a gimmick, which is more than Ganondorf has. Besides I'll actually use the health point to segue to another game release that happened reasonably. Nux, of course, making the argument that Hitbox makes things substantially easier to the point of an unfair advantage. Well, maybe that input device, I mean, GameCube controllers are out of print now. Nintendo stopped manufacturing them after that brief period before Wii U. Maybe it is time for the community to be looking at a better input device. I mean, this is always a bit of a can of worms, but I think you should be erring on the side of player health as a very important part of your competitive, professionally run sport.
I also feel like when you have such a huge barrier to actually picking up the game, I just don't understand how Melee is still so alive and just gaining new players when people talk about the massive amount of grinding and training you need just to do the tech.
Have you ever
never
sat
actually
down with Melee and started learning some of the movement tech in that game?
Not Melee specifically.
It feels okay. Did you ever play much Marvel 3 going back to Marvel 3? Did you ever play like Magneto in Marvel 3 and then had a Blink Dash?
Yeah. Is that how it feels like?
It's like that in Melee. Like everything when you do it good in Melee feels like that. You feel like you can do anything.
So it's exactly the same feeling you get when you finally understand how to boost dash in neutral in Gundam.
Yeah. It's like when you learn to boost dash and control your falling, or to a certain extent, FD braking in Guilty Gear. Just you can just move around and everything feels like a dream, and it's super great. Or even like Tekken Korean backdashing.
Yeah, just there's so many perspectives on just the tech. It just always makes me feel wary about the game and the scene in general. People talk about how important tech is, and it just feels like you can't get into the game without learning the tech. That's how it always came off to me.
I mean, that's just a component of learning fighting games in general. It's like I'm gonna do some segues into StarCraft in a bit, but it's like there's playing an RTS game, and then there's actually learning build orders in an RTS, and like that's like learning your combos in a fighting game. You can space your sweeps out, or do like sweep Bandit Revolver, or place your fireballs, be John Choi, and just throw plasma all day.
Or do the A1 Major special?
See, A1 Major does know some combos, and he knows how to drop combos to do ridiculous tech traps. That's what I love about A1's play. But like, there's playing that, and it's like if you don't know any sort of combo which gives you some sort of momentum, you're not really playing the game to an extent. I mean, and RTSs, it's the same thing with build orders. If you don't know build orders, you aren't really playing a core component of an RTS. Yeah, I mean, we've brought up the A1 DP so many times. He doesn't anti-air with buttons, he anti-airs with DP, and it works on so many people. Because the timing is different to when you're trying to FD while jumping in an opponent pushing buttons. DP timing is completely different, so it's not when you're hitting that FD on the way down. You're thinking, hey, this is a spot where I can push a button because he's not going to 6p. And then Vapor Thruster! And you're dead.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Is he coming to HN?
I believe so.
Can we coerce him into just playing Guilty Gear? I want to see this.
Maybe. I mean, A1's not particularly interested in super high level competition at the moment. He just wants to hang out with friends and see what
maybe enter KOF,
so,
something like that.
Oh, he's entering KOF. Last time I played KOF 14 with him, his goal was to use Ralph, Xanadu, and he was still working out the third character. Just a wacky team with a bunch of goofy gimmicks, and see how many people he can catch with them. There's things like he had a really ambiguous cross-up setup with Ralph max mode activation that only works on fat characters like Daimon.
Oh boy.
It was amazing. Just suddenly he flashes blue and he's on the other side of you doing a Ralph kick, and I'm just, what the hell is that? Good times.
Surprisingly, for what it is, KOF is actually looking pretty healthy, at least in regards to AHN. There's like 21 players. Yeah, 21. which, in comparison, Virtual Fighter 5 has got 19 so far, BlazBlue's got 23, and Injustice has got 24.
Hmm.
Like, even at least, I was hoping KOF would at least break 20, and it already has, so it's pretty good for KOF.
That is very good.
Means the game is still not dead. There's a couple of people in Sydney who still play it a lot. Chen, who I believe just won BAM.
Yeah. Chen feels like he's the best player at this point in 14, but I don't know what the level of play in Sydney's like at the moment. Oh, it is funny, I was at an SAFGC planning meeting on Sunday, and I won't go into the details of it, but one of the conclusions we did reach is that KOF 14, in a bunch of the states, it's not really being played much at monthlies or at casual meetings, but all the people who know how to play KOF will rock up to majors, because they're mostly people who do that, and they will all enter it. They may not be maining the game, but they will absolutely play it on the side, and they will enter, and there's enough core skill set in a lot of the players for KOF at this point that the level of play is still going to be pretty good, because they know the things you need to do in KOF, and the execution level is so much lower in 14 that so long as you can remember what your max mode combo is, and that you can just make them block a Fardy, then do max mode activate, and you get a pressure extension, which leads into big damage, that you can just play that game on the side. And so I think it's going to have life at tournaments, but not so much on day-to-day, and that's going to trick people a bit.
I still wouldn't give up on it, but I mean, I feel like AFF is it's still actually a pretty good game. It just
I like it more than 13.
I just feel like at this moment, especially in regards to anime, there's just so many games out there.
Oh, yeah.
I can't find the time to play KOF. I've given up just because I don't have 40 hours in a day. Only 24.
Yes. That is a problem. I mean, lots of people are discussing that at the moment. James Chen did a super serious James Chen swearing shoot video where he was talking about how there's too many damn games at the moment. And, I mean, there's certainly a can of worms that I can talk about there. I feel that a lot of American tournaments are starting, because there was a problem a few years ago where there were too many tournaments in America. But now, I think the solution that they've come to is that a lot of the tournaments are dedicating themselves to one or two unique games and getting a different sort of audience draw than they would have previously. So rather than everyone feeling like everyone has to go to every tournament, then it's lots of players will go to a tournament for a certain game, then a bunch of other players will go to a different tournament for another game. It somewhat splinters the feeling of this mythical all-encompassing FGC, but I honestly don't think that was anywhere near as strong or as unifying a concept as people think it was. It's just that in 2008 through 2012-ish, Street Fighter 4 was for many people the only option. Street Fighter 4 and Marvel, and so it felt like there was this all-encompassing FGC, when really it was just a lot of people playing SF4 and Marvel. And the people who were playing the smaller games were still just playing the smaller games.
They were just playing in the corner of SF4 and Marvel.
But now we're getting to the point, particularly in America, where it's not so much like 5 people in the corner playing a BlazBlue or a KOF, and there's more like 20 to 30 in a corner playing BlazBlue, because things are just that much bigger and there's that much more net attendance.
Especially when you start seeing like games that don't have as much cross players just rising up in the numbers, especially Tekken. Tekken stepping up was a huge deal.
Yeah, Tekken stepping up is great, and it says a lot about the quality of Tekken 7 that there's just a lot of interest from everyone else. Like pretty much everyone has dabbled in Street Fighter 4 at some point who is competing at this point. And Tekken 7 feels like this console generation, I guess, is era. That's going to be the game which most people are going to at least have dabbled with on the side and played for a bit and will maybe enter at majors. So, that was a rather bizarre series of tangents. What I was going to do was segue from hand health and Smash Brothers to hand health and RTSs as my way of saying, hey guys, Brood War HD came out today. If you somehow don't own a copy of StarCraft Brood War, and you want to learn what is a very good, very hard on your hands RTS, and you don't want to deal with the old super janky 1998 matchmaking, then check out StarCraft Remastered. I'm also bringing it up because there's this long-running gag in South Australia of the Blizzard Vortex, where, of course, Vortex being a term for ridiculous 50-50s off hockey and fighting games that was popularized by Street Fighter 4 when it started happening in that game.
Is Eska still gone?
There was this period where a lot of our BlazBlue players would disappear for months at a time because they got back into a Blizzard game. There would be a patch for StarCraft 2. There would be an update for World of Warcraft. There would be... trying to remember what else Blizzard was doing at the time. Diablo 3. There was that period where Esker made a big pile of money on the Real Money auction house in Diablo 3. So, all of those guys, basically half our BlazBlue scene at the time, would just disappear for months and months and months and kill BlazBlue because they were too busy playing a Blizzard game. And lo and behold, Brood War Remastered comes out today. What has the anime Discord been full of for all of the last, 30 hours? StarCraft Brood War. The Blizzard Vortex is coming. We need to make sure it doesn't take...
Oh, the best story about that was, Esker just being, gone for years by the Blizzard Vortex, comes back randomly, SXE 2014, and starts beating up people in BlazBlue, starts eating bursts.
Oh yeah, that was great. I mean, that's when we got Song back as well. And we got the legendary... that era of Song. I mean, every era of Song is entertaining, but that was the great last hurrah. I mean, the Blizzard Vortex is pretty real, because it happened last year to Street Fighter V, if you remember. Where Street Fighter V came out, and people
Overwatch came out,
month, and then
wasn't
Overwatch came out a month later.
Yes.
And just killed the tournament attendance for a couple of weeks. Because everyone was too busy playing Overwatch, so... watch out for that Blizzard Vortex in your scene, people. You leave it unchecked, it will take over. What else do I have on here? So, next point of topic. No, just as a brief note, Dragon Ball Z Fighters had some more footage. It popped up at a bunch of events. If you browse around the internet, you'll probably find some new footage. A lot of 80% combos have been found. And if you
yeah. The tech that's coming out of it's been looking real good.
Yeah, it's nice to see that there is a bit more depth happening to the combos. Lots of interesting links off of stuff which has a ton of hits done. And the combos are pretty high damage, but those are all 4 or 5 bar plus at least 1 assist combos. So I don't think the game's going to be... and considering how good... how long the recharge time on assists is and how vital they are to opening people up, I don't think... the average damage is going to be as high as it's looking at like it is right now. But we will see when the game's actually out and we've got some tech. So don't go panicking if you're super worried about those 80% combos that are appearing.
And it's okay, the sparking mode is not going to kill you like X Factor.
Yeah, it's not level 3 X Factor Virgil, where you do the 3 move sequence over and over again until they're dead. Or Phoenix, and go 5, 5, 5, 5.
MH rapid slash, and then have to block the 50-50s or something like that.
Oh no, I was just thinking Devil Trigger, X Factor, launch, jump, LM, helmet breaker, then what's it called? The launching one, the 3H. High Tide?
I just call it uppercut, sword uppercut, I don't know.
Anyway, so yeah, High Tide teleport, super jump, LM, helmet breaker, High Tide teleport.
Oh right, the combos and not the you're blocking level 3 X Factor Virgil.
Oh, you can't block X Factor 3 Virgil. Everyone knows that. That's
well, you can block it for about 0.5 of a second, then you just don't block it.
Final round, and you got to take Filipino Champ's money. Then you can block every Marvel mix-up. Man, that was a good final round. You've seen the clip of Bell
that was the one where he baits out the Phoenix level 5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that the match?
Yeah.
That was the greatest match.
And it was the tournament where Bell Rices did the White Lan on Colma Infinite in the Melty Blood tournament, and that
was the same tournament.
Yeah. That was the same final round. It was wonderful.
Oh, Melty Blood! You always find a way to pop up in the most unexpected of places, or they've always been there. We just haven't looked hard enough.
Yeah. It's the little magical Chinese shop where you can find the mogwais and things. It's just if you look at the corner of the tournament just in the right angle, then suddenly the Melty Blood reveals itself to you. So, I forgot what I needed to do. I need to push this button and then set the timer. Okay. 25:10 is when I have input a thing on my computer. And we'll look at that timestamp again in a bit. Next thing we can talk about is Comiket 92 happened on the weekend.
Oh,
And
Comiket.
Comiket is a wonderful time of independent artists, independent musicians, independent game developers, independent cosplayers, because mostly cosplayers are independent, sharing their love of creating and trying to make, maybe sometimes making a bit of money, just selling whatever they've created at the time. Often derivative works, all sorts of things. There's a lot of it's a period that I like because I like to look at what interesting indie games are coming out of Japan at the time. Because you'll see basically first year comp sci students doing their first project. Also mixed in with circles like Edelweiss, who have been doing this for like 20 years. Make these ridiculously good looking games that are often a bit shallow because I have problems with Edelweiss's design. But you get people who really understand game design, who understand art, and all sorts of
the industry veterans that just made some what is it, garage project that's been sitting dormant for about 20 years and suddenly they've popped up.
I guess it was also a special Comiket because it was the 20-year anniversary of Toho, if you aren't aware.
Oh, I thought it was a special Comiket for another reason.
Oh, well, I'm sure we can talk about other reasons, but as a bit of trivia, Highly Responsive to Prayers and Story of Eastern Wonderland were both actually sold for the first time at Comiket 52, and Toho 16 came out, and I really like 16. I think it's a pretty great game. I liked 15 a lot as well. 16 really feels like one of his better games in quite some time. There's some cool music. The first few enemies were cool. Like, the final boss just looks like Junko, but on a chair. And I guess that, but with Yukari, a variant on Yukari's powers, so a bit derivative, but that was also kind of the point of the boss. Toho 15.5 didn't come out, though. What were you going to say?
That's the fighting game,
yeah, that's the next Taz for a fighting game. So, I mean, I wound up getting into 14.5 a bit too late, but that game did much better things over Hopeless Masquerade, and this one certainly upped the damage a lot with really wacky assist combos. Basically, it's like Marisa with any assisted... Yeah, you had Marisa as your assist, and basically you got DHCs into Master Spark, and they would do like 80% in the demo. So, we'll see how things go when the final version of that game comes out. I'm reckoning next Comiket in December is when that'll be out. Otherwise, the only other fighting game is another demo for a game which is basically, it's this 3D free-roaming underwater game where you're giant crabs punching each other.
Okay, I saw that game.
Yeah, there was a demo.
I need to see it again. I need to see it again.
Yeah, so that game's still not finished.
Ah, yes, the Comiket special, where you get the demo for the same game over and over, and they're only getting barely progressively better.
Yeah, it's just those 100 yen demos, and it's the second and third and fourth versions of the demo. Those are so great. And there were a lot of mecha-themed games this year.
There have been like some kind of platformer tower defense thing that's just been there for like 10 years now.
Tower offense?
Yes.
It's only the last couple of Comikets that's popped up.
And the yearly or half-yearly releases of what's the next character to get on put in Magical Battle Arena.
Yeah, Magical Battle Fest. Well, I mean, they do different versions, and there have been 2 different Doujin circles who have worked on Magical Battle Festa at this point. And the version which you can get on Steam is not a very fun game. Every time I've tried to play with people, it's been a blow-up. I do hope that this most recent version is good, because it's got Lena Inverse in it, and so that automatically makes it Game of the Year 2017.
I'm finding it hard to disagree with you.
Thank you, you're a good man, Fire. That's why you're on the show. Bet Steven doesn't even know who Lena Inverse is. Lena, isn't she the fire girl from Dota?
Wasn't she a guy at one point in Dota as well?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, the Dota hero history is...
I'm not one for Dota lore. I can't help you there.
It goes back for a long time.
There is... Did you see the clips from the International 2 where they announced the Dota 2 card game?
Yes.
Just the way the crowd goes, oh... Oh wait, we're supposed to cheer. Yay! Good PR moments. Otherwise, there were no real fighting games at this Comic-Con, though there were a lot of mecha games, which gave me warm fuzzy feelings because there's been a distinct lack of weird mecha games that are really bad, but kind of cool at Comic-Con for a while. There were also a lot of scrolling shooters. There were a bunch of horries, a bunch of verts, several direct Gradius tributes.
But isn't that generally par for the course for Comic-Con? There's always going to be those shmups.
There's been, besides, there's a couple of circles that have been regularly putting out stuff, but a lot of other people have not been making shooters the last few years. So seeing a bunch pop up at once, which were really Gradius inspired, gave me warm fuzzy feelings because there's never enough Gradius likes. Especially, one of them was a Toho Gradius. And it had pixel art. I mean, you can really see just how much easier it is to work with 3D dev tools now, because even like 3 years ago, the vast majority of stuff was still clearly being made with that wacky bolted-on DXlib variant for the 2D library, but now almost everything, there's way more 3D games. And that's just an interesting sign of the times. I did like how, in the Toho section of the preview video Edelweiss put out, there was a Toho-themed tower defense game. And you know what?
Oh, that one.
That? A different Toho-themed tower defense game.
Or wasn't that preceded by like a Toho-themed action game?
Oh, yeah, there's always random generic Toho action games of some
It was like the Toho half hour.
Oh yeah, there's always a Toho section, and it's gotten smaller and smaller over time, but it was just great to see, not just here's the Toho section, it's a Toho tower defense, and then a Toho tower defense. Wow. Do you remember that period where did you ever play the Age of Empires game that a Circle was making?
Yes.
Age of Ethanols.
I know that one.
The central resource was beer. And you had to go to and you mined out the beer resource by going to the hot springs. Oh, that was good.
These like Dojin games are always so wacky. Actually, a lot of these games would genuinely be good games if they actually had a development team behind it. There's a lot of really good ideas behind them.
Well, that's why I love to pay attention to the Dojin scene. Is just there's interesting ideas, there's terrible ideas, there's proof of concepts, and every now and then you will get one of those like really well-rounded diamonds in the rough. You get like Bracketeer is obviously the success story of the last decade. Here is this well-rounded Dojin title, and it's one of the first things to pop up on the Steam platform. And oh my goodness me. Okay.
Capitalism, ho!
It was 2410. I'm sorry, there's some terrifying loud sounds happening. There we are. So at 33:15, Sango Guardian Chaos Generation finally booted up. So that was about an 8-minute, I think. 8 or 9 minute time to boot up Sango Guardian Chaos Generation. Do I have a pad plugged in? Oh, thank goodness I do. So, my segue is finally here. Let's see how the stream will appear for Sango Guardian Chaos Generation. Once I drop the volumes all.
Hang on, why is practice crossed out?
Oh, practice is crossed out because it hasn't been implemented yet. This is actually an improvement. This is 1.1, because last week when Sango Guardian Chaos Generation released, you couldn't pick 2P battle either.
So it wasn't a joke. You literally could not play local multiplayer.
You had to go to story mode and have player 2 push start, like an arcade game.
So, unlike a true fighting game, like a sequel to one of the most well-known fighting game franchises, it actually starts off with having an arcade mode first and everything else comes after.
That's right. This is the true Street Fighter V, clearly. I mean, to be fair, one of my favorite fighting games, Chaos Breaker / Dark Awake, The King Has No Name. You also have to do the same thing there. It has a net play mode, but not a local versus mode. You have to go back to arcade.
Wait. Chaos Breaker was that game with the three dwarves, and it was that one with the cannon, and it was just spinning out of control.
Yeah, and the Grippler Dwarf, the Dive Kick Cannon. It's got Insidor, the skeleton on the horse. The horse is also a skeleton.
That game was fantastic.
So, I've got Sango Guardian Chaos Generation fired up here. So we'll see how the stream goes. Yesterday, something with my stream settings is wrong, and I need to get it fixed. But it might also just be Sango Guardian Chaos Generation breaking everything. We'll probably be talking about this game a lot in the weeks to come when I get Steven back on. He's too busy being social tonight.
Are you ready?
Because this game, it has a lot of very flagrantly stolen art assets from Street Fighter 4, but it's very clever things like very certain sound effects, particle effects, and skeleton data. I shouldn't have skipped the animation, but the mechanics are actually basically KOF, so since this has so much Street Fighter 4 stuff, the ultimate way to describe this game is it's a parallel universe KOF 12.
I'm unsure how to feel about that.
Well, this game's way better than KOF 12, so you got your C throw, you got your D throw, which is just 6C or 6D to throw which way you want to throw your opponent, and they option select with forward throw, forward C and forward D. You have 4 buttons, obviously. However, both heavies isn't a KOF blowback. Well, I mean, it is in the air. And I think it juggles? No, it doesn't juggle. Okay, that's just in the corner. But, on the ground, it's focus attack. And you could hear there a certain sound certain ultras use in Street Fighter 4 there. And you can do focusy things. You can focus dash cancel, just like Street Fighter 4. But your movement, as you can see, is like KOF. You can run, you can roll. You also have side steps, like extra mode. You got hops, jumps, super hops and super jumps, which are great. And you can do, excuse me, there we are. Right as the timer happens. You can do special moves out of your backdash like KOF. Which, when you look at, I'm playing what we have dubbed Mr. Gorkenki. Look at how freaking good this backdash air fireball is. Look at this awesome key point. So, he's like Gorken, not just because of the hat he's wearing, but because he can charge up his fireballs like Gorken. He's like Gorky because he has the air fireballs. And he's like Mr. Karate because he has this move. Juggles. But, if you want a real example of how great this game is, you could... Oh yeah, this game also has auto combos. Where you just match 5A or 2A, and you get an auto combo. But, on a lot of characters, there is way too much hit stun on certain parts of the auto combo. So you get things like this. Whoops. Okay, we'll have to restart the round and do it again. Oh yeah, this game has max mode, and it works like KOF 13s. So you can do moves, you do special moves, and they can cancel into other special moves. This means that this guy's max mode combo is basically the same as Mr. Karate's.
Next stage.
In the corner. Now.
It becomes more and more nervous. A fierce fighting is about to start.
Let me know in the stream chat how the audio is.
This game looks ridiculous.
So, when we see the opponent that I've picked, you will see the intro. Here we are. That's Street Fighter 4 Ken's intro on a completely different body type.
Round.
And it looks very awkward.
Fight.
Okay, so let's do this one. Oh no, I've got an audience. Yeah, there. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, what I do is basically it's auto combo into air series, into auto combo, into air series, into auto combo, into air series. But then I have to do a max mode activation.
Round 2.
Because at various times, basically, if you do 3, like devs know that there's way too much hits done in certain auto combo moves, and so if you do too many reps of an air magic series or an auto combo on the ground, then the game will just force the opponent to get knocked down. And it's at 3 reps. However,
That
in the arcade version, and they haven't patched it in yet, you see there's this attack written at the bottom of the screen. Alright, I need to show the ultras as well, because the ultras are awesome. So... So ultras just like Street Fighter 4, except you can super cancel into them, so they're way cooler than Street Fighter 4. Okay, here we are. Watch this ultra. That's not an ultra. That's an ultra. Check out that Sekihaten Kyoken. How awesome was that?
oh god, the more I ever see of this game, the more I'm unsure how to think. It is the most ironically terrible but amazing game I've seen.
No. See, this game is janky and ethically ambiguous, but this game actually feels really, really good to play.
Winner.
There's a lot of good cancels, there's the right amount of hit stun and hit stop, and everything feels like it's got lots of oomph, while also still feeling really fluid to input. Movement feels great, it's just KOF movement. Flat out just KOF movement. So, the biggest problem is this is a PC-only game, which is horribly optimized. Remember how it took 8 minutes to load the game? That's because it loads every single art asset at once, which can overload CPUs and cause the frame rate to chug on computers with bad hardware. Now, I'm going to show for you the coolest combo in the game. Ah yeah, so Oren hasn't mentioned the short hop. So, if you mash down, you actually get a hop. You can't do like cancels or air strings like you can with regular hopping, but it's even closer to the ground, and you can do things like buffer this off jump-ins, or off of like matching your crouch jabs, you then mash down while you're doing it. So
I'm not sure how to feel about this game anymore.
A very good mix-up.
There's just so many things to this game. I generally just can't tell whether I should be legitimately interested. It looks so poverty, but it looks so like made with love.
Oh, these devs clearly have love. I've mentioned before that this game actually does have a quality assessment team, by which I mean Takadano Baba Mikado Arcade acquired a cabinet and have been playing the game and just laughing at it while giving feedback to the devs of, yo, check out the broken thing. Okay, so I have here our Shahwanduz, who's the main character. He's got a dive kick. He's got basically the jury dive kick. And this is his DP, and this is also a DP. And he's got this, which is very cool. But anyway, I'm going to show you the coolest combo ever. Unfortunately, I'm going to run out of time. But he's basically got Feng Shui Engine. Oh yeah, the time doesn't run out while you're still comboing them, but they don't lose any health.
Wait, does that mean you can just do one long-ass combo? Is this one of those, why are you hitting me after the round is over thing? This isn't fair. This game is mean?
Probably, but there's no net play at this point, so it's not going to do anything. Okay, here we go, here we go. Ready for the best combo you've ever seen? A. Oh, Feng Shui Engine headache, eye laser install. So now I'm just mashing auto combo, which is cancelling into itself until the ultra runs out.
Oh my god.
And then I end with super. I dropped doing a link there. I was going to link the auto combo into itself a few times.
So how much was this game again on Steam?
So this game is about $8 US on Steam. And it is money Steven spent very well.
Final round.
Thank you, Steven.
Are you ready?
So either you can buy Abigail or you can buy this.
Oh yeah, I know what I'm buying. Yeah. I've done everything I want to do with Shahan Do. I mean, I can just keep matching DPP like this. while I'm in max mode. How cool is this combo?
Well, I gotta say, one of the best things about this game is that they didn't go every other Three Kingdoms game and just rip all the art designs from Dynasty Warriors.
Yes. It is at least its own wacky ideas. And you are far from the qualification for the match consisted of winners. Okay, so this guy is Billy, and he has one of the most broken crouching light kicks I've ever seen. You can do like 8 of them. And then into a Raka series, which links back into the light kicks, and just do that forever. But if you want to see the sickest combo, it's all about this guy. This is Maxima. I can't remember his actual name, but it's not actually Maxima. Oh no, please don't crash on me, game. No, please. I'm sorry I minimized you. Okay, there we are, we're good.
Round 1.
Oh no, it's one of those games that you play full screen if you can't, and if you try and... Wait, is it like one of those full screen windows? Or?
You can play windowed. So check out this DP. How cool is this DP?
Wow.
It has this running grab, which is the best. Slick animation. And now for a combo.
I'm generally not sure if I want to see any more of this game.
So this one you can... You see, it's only on the 3rd hit that the limitation starts kicking in. It's only on the 3rd hit of the auto combo that it will actually start registering that you're abusing auto combos. So, with this guy, you can do the first 2 hits of the auto combo forever. Or at least until they're in the corner, at which point you start getting pushed away. So then you just have to actually finish your combo for a bit. Like so. Look at this.
Oh my god.
Get into that corner. Oh no!
See, I can understand exactly why this might be Oren's favorite game ever.
Oh, it is the most poverty game of 2017. This is a truly beautiful piece of poverty.
Is this the modern day Jackie Chan?
I guess so. But you gotta remember that... Oh, yeah, these have both got legit commercial releases now, so I guess they both count. This guy says run away whenever he does K-Dash's teleport off end trigger. And this guy has the Sakura super.
Next stage.
Actually, this guy's super is simultaneously like Evil Ryu's Shin Ryuken and I think Sakura's Ultra. It's pretty cool. He's an ugly dude.
Round 1.
Okay, this is the last time I'll muck around with this game for a bit, then we can talk about Senko no Ronde, which is why I actually brought you on here.
I'm not even sure if I even want to talk about that after seeing it. There's just so many things to this game. It really is...
There are so many mechanics.
Yeah.
This game is
like
very funny, but also pretty cool. And I mean, probably the biggest limitation is just that the look at this Tatsu mix-up. Yeah. Nope, you can't do Street Fighter 4 Ken with this guy. But what was I saying? Forgive me, I've lost my train of thought while I've been amazed by the quality of this game.
I'm mesmerized. I also don't want to watch this anymore. This game is just so wacky. I can't actually hate this game for just being a bad game because it looks like a genuinely good game made with the This looks a game straight, a polished Comic-Cat game. This is exactly what this looks like. On our topic of the
this
week.
Doesn't look like a polished Comic-Cat game. Those are much higher quality. This is one of those, it's 2 steps away from polished quality. The Comic-Cat game.
You mean this is the Comic Kit demo release 3 Comic Kits later?
Yes. Comic Kit Demo version 3. Alright, so, let's talk about Senko no Ronde. I've mentioned this game a bunch of times, and I played the theme music of a game similar to Senko no Ronde, which is available on Steam. That's probably going to be the easiest way of describing things, since my capture equipment's not working. I'll go over here, and
so that game, was it Acceleration of Suguri?
Acceleration of Suguri. I will pull this up on the Steam. Hello, since when is Acceleration of Suguri 2 on the Steam store? Okay, it's actually...
Hang on, that is...
Actually, yeah, like there are Suguri 2 screen caps here. That's going to be the most useful thing, I think. Because... Let's get a window capture fixed up. Okay, there we are. Can I move this around a bit? Yes. There we are. Because there's some UI improvements in Suguri 2 that are more similar to Senko no Ronde. Basically, the game, you're in a big circle, and you're a scrolling shooter ship fighting another scrolling shooter ship. And the aim is to defeat your opponent by shooting them a bunch. Suguri 2 has a few more distinct quirks in comparison to Senko no Ronde. Ronde is basically the 2D equivalent of Virtual On. The way melee works is the same as Virtual On, the way dashing works is the same as Virtual On. So it's...
If you're not familiar with Virtual On, it's pretty much the precursor of Gundam. So it's pretty much 2D Gundam.
Gundam is... Like, Gundam's all about landing punishing.
That's true. The game plays differently. It's like one of those games where it looks similar at first glance, but when you actually go in and play it, they feel very different.
Like, Virtual On and Senko no Ronde are much more about whiff punishing than the landing punishing that makes Gundam so important. Basically, you've got 2 chief shot buttons, your primary shot and your secondary shot. Those have ammo limits, which is represented by rings around you. In Suguri 2, you see there's a blue ring, blue semicircle and an orange semicircle that indicates the primary and secondary ammo in that game. Similar thing in Senko no Ronde. If you're up close to your opponent, then they actually switch to melee attacks. Your secondary shot is going to be a much quicker, damaging blow, which is more something that you use for abare situations, but of course it's really bad on whiff. Whereas your primary shot, it has a bit of a running start, but it has a bit of homing, and so that's your gap closer. Whereas weapon shot 2 up close is your is your mash button, which I think I already mentioned. If you push...
Well, that's the thing. They changed it a bit. Like, they've rebalanced a lot of the moves, and they've kind of made everything less homogeneous. A lot of sub shots and main shots can actually be interchanged depending on your character now.
Yeah. See, I've mostly been playing Changpo, and it's still just your a basic straightforward shot and a laser shot, a homing laser.
Oh, that sounds about right. I've been playing a lot of Lev.
Yeah.
Same thing.
If you push both the shots together, you spin around while doing a melee attack, which can also swipe away bullets. So that's basically your parry, I guess is the best way to describe it. Whereas the more conventional blocking is by holding down your dash button. If you're just in neutral and you hold that down, you'll block, which takes up meter. And if you tap a direction while tapping that button, then you'll dash, which works pretty much the same as Virtual On. If you tap it, you dash. If you push any of your attacks while you're dashing, you'll do a different move. And you'll fire based on where your opponent is at the start of the input. So, you use dashes to avoid people's shots like that. And you can abort the dash by tapping the dash button a second time while you're in dash momentum. There's also...
Yeah, one didn't realize that. You have to hold neutral you hold neutral and then you dash, and that's how you get your shield?
Yep. So you get your shield